number 14, Brisbane Broncos, who, look, I would say they performed below expectations, at least where I had them at Stadia. I had higher hopes from them than what they achieved at 14. They folded very easily in too many games, especially early on. And then the games they'll produce efforts where you thought, here they are, they're back, they're about to springboard off this. It was almost, and you pointed out pretty early in the year, Ollie, it was almost the weeks they'd get your hopes up about, hey, they've clicked, they're about to come back. They might the Penrith game, the game against Titans where Izako looked like a superstar, some other games, and they'd followed up by getting beat by 40. And it was, so there was no consistency. And then I think it doesn't help when you have 43 halves combinations. It didn't help again. And a common theme is coaching issues, I suppose, through all of, actually, when I look through all of the bottom 8, we can find a pretty clear theme with issues at some point or other with a coach. So, concerns of Kevy, concerns of playing group. They got rid of Lodge throughout the year. I think he had players there he didn't really want as well. But by the back end, I think when the weight came off Milford, when he signed elsewhere, he became a superstar again. Don't know how he's going to again fit in with the issues going at the moment, whether South would touch him. But yeah, very disappointing season overall. But enough of a shot of all the teams in this bottom 8, I dare say, apart from perhaps the Sharks when we get to them. I think there's a shining light there that if I was a Broncos fan, at least I would have optimism. Ollie?
Well, just on Milford, the poor bloke we'll talk about, it's good. He's getting the pressure off of that. Well, he now possibly could be walking into a situation where he's the replacement for their captain and their.
He could also not be walking into no job at all.
He could also be, obviously, allegations pending, whatever. But but the Broncos, I think they definitely should be optimistic for next year. And I think they definitely should improve on this year's result. I had them at 15th, they finished 14th. So I'd say, they were around sort of what I expected, a bit of improvement, but nothing that blows your socks off. Next year, I think they will be in that hunt for the top 8, whether they make it or not. Another question this year, Payne Haas was obviously the main man there and the one who every week was consistently impressive. And I've also chucked in TPJ just for how he improved. I know he's now, he's playing in the goddamn grand final this week, but he's
could win a comp.
Yeah, could win a comp from possibly finishing 14th. But TPJ chucked him in there as well. One of the big disappointments for me, and I guess it's just sort of overall the past couple of years, and I know Barney and I bagged on about him, Brodie Croft was supposed to be the half that brought him back to the promised land, despite the only reason why Brisbane signed him was because Bellamy dropped him and then released him because he wasn't good enough. The Broncos thought, he'd be a great player to sign to take us into the future. It was a lot of pressure for him, especially after that nut punch, I guess you could say, from Melbourne. And it hasn't worked out in the end. And now they've got Adam Reynolds coming in, an experienced half, a premiership winning half possible, 2-time premiership winning half, heading to the club next year. Kurt Capel, possible premiership winner. Geez, Brisbane are picking up some players from both sides of these two teams, which really excites me for next year as well. But this year it has to be Haas, TPJ, and mainly the forwards. You'd have to say from Brisbane, that's been the consistent thing for the past couple of years. But they've even got your likes of Brenko Lee coming in as well, who should add a little bit of something, hopefully, to their edge. So, promising signs for the Broncos next year. Again, they'll sort of be in that hunt for the 8, but it's pretty congested there, so we'll see.
Barn, just go back to your take on the season, first of all.
Yeah, well, I had them in 14th, and the big question that I had on them from the start of the year was their halves. I never liked the lineup that they had, and neither did Kevy, obviously, because he chopped and changed it every second week. I think, as you mentioned, they had up near 10 different combinations for the entire season and between 3 different players. It's pretty hard to do, but he managed to do it somehow.
I know Carmichael jumped in there for a bit.
That's right, Carmichael was in there.
And
then we had
multiple.
We had Louis in there as well, wasn't it? Not Louis, fucking Kelly. Albert Kelly was in there as well. So, there was a few. They pretty much went straight to my expectations, to be honest. I had them in 14th. I thought they would struggle. Their forward pack did a pretty good job considering what they had for the rest of the team. There is a couple of young kids that I do like in there, in Herbie Farnsworth, who seemed to improve markedly towards the back end of the year. And Tessie knew once he was given an opportunity, does look very likely ball in hand. He's got a few issues in defensive positioning and stuff like that at fullback, but ball in hand, he can be a handful. So they've got something to work with there, as you mentioned, with the new half coming in. And Capewell should help one of those edges. He does a fair bit of work, as we've seen, in defence and attack. So he's definitely a positive for the Broncos. I think they should improve slightly on where they finish this year, next year, but we'll get around to that in the future. Again, it's very similar to the Cowboys, 7 wins, 17 losses. But they seem to do it the other way around. They front end the front end of their season, they were abysmal, and then they picked it up at the back end of Origin and into the back end
The
of the
thing
year.
is, you can understand, and we'll get the Tigers next, but when you're heading that way as a club and you have changes throughout the year, but then you can see a direction by the end,
direction.
you've got to take that
absolutely.
as a positive. You can say, okay, you can get Kevy having to clean the shit out, doesn't think whatever. Well, you can always give him, you can give him benefit of doubt, thinking that they're heading somewhere.
Yep, absolutely. 446 points for, 695 against. So it's an average of 18.5 points for and 28 or 29 points against for every game of the year, which is obviously not good enough. And that's why you end up in 14th. The top point scorer was Asako, 18 games, 124 points. Coates with in 17 games, he scored 11 tries, which obviously you need a few more tries out of your top try scorer. Turpin averaged 41 tackles a match, 904 tackles for the season, and 93% efficiency. 168 meters an average per game, 3,361, and 295 hit-ups for Payne Haas. As we mentioned, he's a superstar. He's one of the best front rows going around, and expect that to continue. Herbie was their top line breaks with 11. Line break assists was Gamble, believe it or not, with 6 line break assists for the season in 13 games. And Milford had 9 try assists in 13 games also. So tackle bust was Asako again with 69, considering he missed a fair few. I thought somebody else may have taken that from him, but that's what it was. Coates made 31 errors.
I think he had 39 of them in that Titans game.
Coates made 31 errors, which, when he's consistently jumping for the ball, it generally happens. The wingers seem to drop quite a few, even when they do take spectacular marks and score tries. Alex Glenn missed 60 tackles, which wasn't too bad considering some of the other stats that we're going to see coming up from different teams.
Yeah. We don't need to spend too much more on Payne Haas, but obviously he's the premier front rower in the comp, if not top 3. But absolutely outstanding. Herbie, maybe the little underrated workhorse of the comp, and I think if in a better team, he'll be a better player in a better team. But gets a bit of help around him, and maybe having a Capewell to play outside of, he can be
and it's a bit more direct.
He's a line finder when he gets a chance. He's a tackle breaker and a little battler, so he will be better next year and better for the run. This is now his 3rd year in NRL, isn't it? It's something. I think
Sure.
it's his 3rd.
Yeah.
Gamble found a bit of form, and I believe Kevy likes him, so I think he's going to be first choice 5'8", which is fine because it gives Reynolds something to work off of a platform where he can be the kicker and the structure. As I said, I like. I'll quickly touch on a few other guys you mentioned new, but Selwyn and Cobbo is going to have something to offer down the road. Bit of fitness, bit of experience, lose a bit of the puppy fat and strengthen up a little bit. With all due respect to him, I'm sure he's a very nice fellow, but he'll be stronger and bigger as he gets older. And TC Rabadi, your Hetheringtons of the world, they're all going to be decent first grade footballers. And when you throw some experience around them, I think they will. I don't want to rubber stamp from top 8, but I think they'll push much, much stronger towards your 7, 8, 9 position than they were this year. Reynolds will be big. And you mentioned earlier, Brenko Lee, Jordan Pereira, they add something to Pereira's an underrated winger. And Ryan James coming into play in the forward pack as well. So Ben Eichen there now looks like he's got the club heading in the right direction, which if you're a fan, what more can you... Well, that's all you want to ask for. You touched on the flops in Croft and everything, so I guess we can probably move on.